How? When? You walked them back to their car outside of the club? And prior to that incident, or prior to seeing it that night, had you ever noticed that bullet hole before? No, sir. And was it your common, or excuse me, your knowledge that it was common practice for guys from the neighborhood, gang members, to immediately fix bullet holes in their vehicles? You don't drive around with a car that has bullet holes in it. Mainly not so much for the embarrassment of having a gunshot, but because the police generally harass you a little more because generally they believe, and I believe when I was a police officer, someone had just recently been shot at and they carrying a gun to protect themselves because one, they either have issues with somebody, or two, maybe in fear of, I'd rather be judged than be carried. This dude said that on the grand jury stand. I'd rather be judged than to be carried. Okay, gangster. So we talked about at the beginning of this that your father, Reggie Rice Sr., was a lieutenant in the gang unit, right? Around this time. Is that fair to say? He was. So was he in Vegas or was he in Compton during this time? During the night of the shooting? No, he was in Compton. Well, I guess he was at home. You don't know? But to your knowledge, he definitely wasn't in Vegas. He wasn't in Vegas. No. Did you go after the shooting? Did you ultimately make your way down to UMC? That's the hospital, y'all. Yes, sir. Did you drive there or did someone else drive you there? No. Mr. Khalees is the attorney, George, because I didn't know my way around Vegas like that, but he drove me to the hospital. Reggie, Michael Moore wasn't with y'all? Reggie, Michael Moore wasn't with y'all? I don't want to go digging for clips. It's going to take too long. I got this. All right. And during this time, do you see Mr. Knight? Yes. About 2 hours probably after the shooting, I see him in the emergency room at the hospital. Suge said on collect calls, Reggie is lying. He did not see him at the hospital, and he damn sure ain't tell him that that Southside did it. I don't want to go and pull a clip right now because it's going to take too long. You ain't got to believe me. When Suge said, because when I had OG Patrice on Kimmy Love channel, asked Reggie, how did he find out who shot Pocket Suge for him to call his father before he got to the hospital to tell him who did it? And he said, oh, I found out when I got to the hospital, like 2-3 hours later. Suge told me. Suge hears that and replies on collect calls, said, Reggie, I never saw you at the hospital, and I damn sure ain't tell you that Southside shot me. So here you are in the grand jury perjuring yourself. Oh, I can't wait for you to get on the stand. Yes, about 2 hours probably after the shooting, I see him in the emergency room at the hospital. Is it fair to say that he survived that shooting? Yes, sir. To your recollection, was he, did he stay there for a few days or was he released that night? No, he left. I left prior to him getting released, but I was back at his house at 7 a.m. that morning and he was there. He saw Suge at the hospital. Suge said he's lying. He never saw him at the hospital. Now he's saying he left before Suge got out the hospital. Y'all hear this? I left prior to him getting released. So how did you see him? You went in the back. They let you go in the back, and he shot in the head. They let your unsanitary ass walk back in the emergency in the surgery room. Really? Let me move on. And Mr. Shakur, was he still in the hospital? Yes, sir. Were there a lot of friends, associates, and people who were actually at the incident gathering at the hospital while Mr. Shakur was being treated? Yes, definitely later. Not initially upon my arrival, but during that night, yes, sir. And were they upset? Very. Were they emotional? Very. Would it be fair to say or unfair to say that they were under distress of what they had just experienced? Mr. Shakur getting shot at? I guess they would be. Yes, that's fair to say. Did you talk to any of these people about what happened? Without getting into details of what they said, did you talk to them? I mean, people were, the tension was up there. The artists, the people, not the guys, meaning the homeboys, maybe talk to them a little later. It was mainly like the people from the club that heard about it and started filtering themselves over, which have been people that didn't have too much know. Yeah. But did you talk to ultimately, did you talk to some of the homeboys and some of the artists about what had gone on? Yeah. As a result, talk to the homeboys and the artists about what went on. Did you call your father? Yes. And why did you call your father? Well, initially I called him just to tell him, hey, Tupac and Suge just was shot. Now, I know probably later, and I'm sure I was calling and talking to him all that night. But I do remember relaying something to him. Now, how many times, y'all, his father said Reggie called him with that in the hour and said Orlando Anderson did it? Didn't I show y'all that video? Wow. This is why OG Patrice asked him, well, how did you call your father so fast? I mean, well, she was supposed to say father, but she said, how did you know to call someone so fast? He said, I didn't know until I got to the hospital. 2 to 3 hours later, when I spoke to Suge. He's going to have to deal with that in court. When they play that video, oh my God. Best believe that's going to be in the video. So OG Patrice, you might be getting subpoenaed. It ain't funny, but you really might be. There is really a strong possibility. And like later that night, meaning, like 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m., sometime that evening, did you feel like the need to relay information to your father? He don't know. It's 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Yeah, because I had learned that it was regarding an incident that happened at the MGM and that it had something to do with some gentlemen from the South Side, Compton Crips. And I knew the gentlemen from the neighborhood that were associated with us, the Marpie Rules and the Luda Park, were very upset about it. Y'all see this? He called his dad within the hour.